Good morning. Welcome to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning, coming to you from the Crime Prevention System Security System Studios.
There we are.
I'm tired, JC.
You stayed up thinking about that game last night, didn't you?
Well, I had a hard time going to sleep after that game.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I mean, you thought for a split second they had forced overtime on that last play, and what a great play he drew up to get that. It's a great play, right? And boy, that clock operator in Baton Rouge.
Quick finger.
Woo, we're going to have to talk to Billy Embody, our LSU correspondent, about who that guy is, because he is a home court advantage for sure. Clock ran out on Florida. They showed it on the instant replay, and it was a shame that the ball just didn't quite get out of his hand there in time to force overtime. But QB, look, they had 82 points on the road last night. They played an unbeaten team in their barn. I like the way Florida looked. I like the way they played. It's too bad you don't win that game, but sometimes you do win those games. But at least you can say you showed up, right? You showed up. You didn't get run by 12 points in someone's barn, and now you've got some confidence, even though it didn't go your way, to come back and face the number one team in the country on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the Gator basketball. I thought they played outstanding last night. On our show today, we're going to have former Gator basketball Hall of Famer Dan Cross join the show about 8:15. Cool. And then later in the program, about 8:30, we're going to have Brent Beard from College Sports Today, college football analyst for First Coast News over in Jax, join us, talk about what's going on in the world of college football. A couple of notes before we get to the Gator game. What are your thoughts about, yesterday – Major League Baseball had their Hall of Famers go in. You got Larry Walker and Derek Jeter.
Right.
The Derek Jeter, there's one guy that did not vote for him. Do you think it's like, when you take the ACT and you got your number 2 pencil and you circle, like there's Derek Jeter, yes or no, and you kind of pencil in the little bubble?
Yeah.
Do you think the guy just forgot?
Yeah.
He had to have.
Who
is this guy?
Who is that guy?
He's got to
lose his. I asked. He's got some loose nuts and bolts upstairs.
Well, he should lose his right in voting.
Well, I don't disagree. I think that was appalling that he didn't get a full 100%, but he got 99 point whatever. I did think that it was good for Larry Walker. This was his last chance to get in, and he got the call. And he said he thought he was going to be about 8 or 9 votes short. And when he got the call, man, what a relieving scenario for him. And the Colorado Rockies get a guy in the Hall of Fame. And Larry Walker, to me, was a really good player. Had a lot of injuries, though. But, man, that guy could hit. Gosh, he was such a good hitter. And I think guys like that should be in the Hall of Fame. Now, here you have Barry Bonds getting, 60%? Not even? That steroid era with Clemens, with Bonds, with McGuire, with Sosa, it's hard for me to think about, if he's only getting 60%, it's hard for me to think that in our lifetime, well, maybe in the next 10, I just don't know if we're going to see him in. I mean, I think he should be, but I just don't know how to feel about that. Do you know how to feel about that? I mean, Barry Bonds.
I don't really get involved with it. I just thought it was interesting.
But do you think he should be in the Hall of Fame? Do you think his
do.
home runs were legit?
I do.
Okay.
I mean, think about before the steroid era, what kind of player he was.
Oh, yeah.
He was phenomenal.
I agree with that. And same with Clemens, right? I mean, I thought he was just as good pitching without the juice as he was with it, certainly with the Red Sox before he joined the Yankees. And then you have Sammy Sosa. My God, how many home runs can you hit? Before you go on it, McGuire, I'm not sure about, but he had Canseco hitting behind him, or in front of him, or somewhere near him. So that really didn't hurt him, right? Mm-hmm. That made it a little bit easier for him in Oakland. But I'm glad for Larry Walker. That was my inclination to think that he would get his last chance opportunity. I think he left the league in 2005, so it's been over 10 years. So this was it for him, and I think he's well. I think it's great that he's in. I liked his.
Did you watch any other college basketball last night?
QB, I went to. We have this place in town called the Texas Roadhouse. Maybe we need to call
a lot of people
them.
have those places.
We need to call that place and see if they want to throw their horns up there on the board, because that place is like walking in a stadium, right? You walk in there and you're standing before you get anywhere, right?
Standing room only?
Well, no, you're walking in there and you're not just walking through the turnstiles and going in like at some places. You're standing in line to get in, and then you're in, and then you have to wait a little bit longer to get to your seat. it's a stadium restaurant. It really is, because you've got all things going on around you, and it's really popular. So
the $1 million question is, how many rolls did you eat?
I had one.
Really?
Yeah, just bread.
It's so
QB,
good.
Look
though.
at my neck, man.
So
I gotta
good.
watch that bread.
This is Matthews in the morning. We need like pancakes or something. I'm hungry this morning.
Are you hungry?
Would you eat pancakes?
Did you not have a big dinner? Did you have peanut butter and jelly last night? What did you eat?
No, I actually, since it was freaking freezing here, I made a big pot of chili.
Oh my!
Very healthy chili too, JC. Very healthy. Lean ground beef and ground up chicken. It was outstanding. Outstanding.
You had the kidney beans. I'm just proud that you were able to eat such a delicious meal there on your own without someone cooking it for you or going out. That was good.
Yes.
That's good
Preparation.
and it's healthy too to eat at home.
Yeah, and when else do you get to eat chili in Florida?
Right.
You only get a few nights a year.
Hey, we got some Facebook Live greetings there from Ward Scott saying good morning. And there's Ray coming in with Rocky Colavito. Look up his achievements. Only 3 men to 300 home runs faster. Best arm in baseball, Colavito curse. Look it up. Race brings us Rocky Colavito. I don't know. I think QB.
Well, my question
your question was did I watch a game? And yes, I did. But I was looking at it from the screen at that restaurant, right? And funny thing is, we didn't end up going there. We left and went to Sonny's instead. But then I watched the game. Well, yeah, they had 30-minute wait on a Monday night.
Well, it's probably the basketball game. That's probably. But did you see the Kansas State fight?
I saw the fight.
Oh, my goodness.
But that's a black eye on college basketball. We don't need kids fighting. It shows that they do have rivalries in the Midwest, my man. Those two schools, my God.
That had nothing to do with a rivalry. It was the last play of the game.
Well, I know, but it's Kansas and Kansas State. You could throw in the fact that they don't really like each other. But at Sonny's last night, I'm sitting there watching the Florida game, and, of course, that last-second shot, man, I thought they were going to overtime. I was proud of the way Florida came back down 7. I think LSU really impressed me with the fact they just didn't turn the ball over.
You know what's interesting about LSU? I told you they have a really good starting five. They're
go.
not a deep basketball team.
There they are.
But I didn't realize this. Do you realize, you know how hard it is to win on the road in conference play?
Of course.
They've won 12 straight road games, which is amazing. And it's it's kind of LSU's year right now. They're winning all
really
these close games
I agree.
in basketball.
Yeah.
We know what they did in football. But Florida is going to be in the hunt. A lot of people picked them to win the SEC. I think they still have a great opportunity. And what better opportunity way to bounce back from a heartbreaking loss like that than Saturday night against Baylor.
Right. Nemhard with a double-double last night, 15 points, 10 assists. And you know, they really battled. I mean, they fell behind there in the second period, or in the second half. It was kind of like getting shaky there, but Keontae played well with 16 points. You had Blackshear with his 15, and then Nemhard and Locke with 15 and 16 respectively. And I was happy with Omar Payne's production, even though he only scored 7 points. He was the body that we talk about, and he played 22 minutes.
Played well.
So they need that kind of effort and from the young guy, and I think with them getting that, it sure makes it easier for the rest of the
If
players.
you want to text the program on the Titan MRI text line, 352-353-7465. We have a text here from Daryl in Green Coast Springs. He says, guys, I thought Johnson's shot was good at the end, but that didn't cost us the game.
No.
We allowed too many points in the paint and too many points off turnovers.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from LSU. They are a good basketball team. Daryl, here
they did get a lot of points in the paint.
Well, that's their game. If you look at the scouting report, you watch
high
LSU.
Percentage shots go in most of the time.
They were probably one of the top 5 offensive rebounding teams in the country. They just pound the glass.
They do.
They're athletic, but I thought, man, anytime you go on the road and play a high-quality opponent like that and you have a chance to win the game, force overtime, whatever you want to say, it was a good effort. And, you know, I'm sitting there watching other games after hours, looking at Twitter, and there's so many of these people in the Gator Nation that I'm going to call them out right now.
Call them out.
They have no clue. You know, they're saying Mike White can't coach. Are you crazy?
I'm not. I don't think I'm crazy.
No, I'm talking about those people are crazy.
Well,
I mean, he is one of the top coaches in the country. Just because we lost at LSU by 2 points, I mean, they're one of the best teams in the country. I think Gator fans think you're supposed to win every game.
Well,
and it's not going to happen.
No, it's not. it was a good game. I mean, like I said, you're not always going to win those close ones. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But the LSU had 6 guys in double figures.
That's their team.
And
that's what they do.
They
every
spread
Saturday,
that production is spread
Tuesday.
out. It's spread out, but man, they win a lot of close games, QB. And one of these days. But they're coming here. They'll be here. And we'll see what they can do on the road. They've played. It seems like to me they're playing a lot of home games.
Well, we split with them last year.
Right.
So and then we split with them, but then we beat them in the SEC tournament. So
that's right.
Long season. If you want to call and tell me how you feel about this basketball team, I'll argue with you all day long because this team.
Well, you're all over them.
They're extremely talented. They're coached well. Just because we have 6 losses, we have not lost to anybody that's not worth a darn. Everybody we've lost to is outstanding. Good basketball teams.
Well, and I think the league is better. I think the league as a whole in the SEC.
I still think the SEC
really
is going to get
better.
6 teams.
I
think Alabama's going to make it.
Well, the way they're looking right now, we'll see how they play up in Nashville tonight, and I would expect with the way they're trending that they're going to win that game in Vanderbilt, also because of the way Vanderbilt's trending. But, you just don't know. These road games in the middle of the week. But I hope you're right about that. I looked at their schedule. I think it's doable, and I think they could win 12 conference games. But if they get 6 teams out of this league, I think that would be a really good year for the SEC. And I certainly think Arkansas playing better is good for the SEC. I think you're going to see Mississippi State trend.
Mississippi State got some players. The best.
They've got some players.
2 and 3 team in the league.
I think they've got some real good production there down low with Perry and Weatherspoon in the backcourt. So they're pretty tough. They'll be coming to Gainesville.
So maybe I think
you'll
it's
have
7
a chance.
teams.
Yeah,
okay,
it could be 7.
Florida, Kentucky, Auburn,
Arkansas,
LSU,
maybe.
Arkansas,
Alabama,
Mississippi State, and maybe Alabama. I think 7 teams maybe.
Yeah, it could happen, and I'm kind of rooting for that because I love watching SEC representation. And we kind of discount that team that was probably the best team in the conference last year in Tennessee. But I would also argue that it's still early, and watch out, they could come and catch fire. I don't know if they're nearly as good. Well, they're certainly not as good as – right, I get it. But they still won by 25 last night. Of course, they played a team that's struggling mightily right now. Other winners in the league last night included Texas A&M, a 2-point win at Missouri. So Missouri takes another step backwards. Georgia competed with Kentucky at least this time, coming off a 32-point loss at Mississippi State to only go and lose by 10 to Kentucky up at Rupp Arena. Hammonds, their great player, had 16 points and 8 rebounds. But I don't know if Georgia's going to make it.
Last night?
Yeah, I could look that up for you real
Georgia.
quick. Their QB.
He's the number 1 NBA.
Yeah,
kid.
he is quite a player. I know you've told me about this guy. And I'll find it for you.
Yeah.
But I think Georgia is a team that's just kind of on the Edwards had 16 points, so 33 minutes of action. He had 16 points, and they played Kentucky tough. I mean, I don't know how good Kentucky is, QB. They're ranked 15th. They'll be in the tournament as they always are, but are they a real threat to go to the Final Four? I'm not so sure about that, but they'll be in the tournament as well, and they'll probably be the highest-ranked team or one of the highest-ranked teams out of this league going into the tournament.
We got a text here on the Titan MRI text line. Again, that's 352-353-7465. It's from Joe in Williston. He says, great show. Who are some of the upcoming guests? Today on the show, we have Dan Cross, former Gator basketball player, member of the University of Florida Athletic Hall of Fame, member of that first Florida Final Four team in 1994. He's going to join us at 8:15. We're going to have Brent Beer from College Football Today, analyst also for First Coast News over in Jackson. Tomorrow, we're going to have Austin Gale from Pro Football Focus. Oh. And then I believe Friday, we're going to have Buddy Martin, who is part of Gator Bait magazine now.
Veteran.
Buddy has his own show. He's been a sports writer for
decades.
many decades.
Decades. He is certainly one of the old Gators.
Yep. So we're going to take our first time out of the program. You're looking and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care.
Bob in trouble, gets rid of it. Oh, big hit.
Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Gators Dockside, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okido America Martial Arts and After School, and Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the Advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us. Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. You got JC, John Cornell, Shane Matthews here. We're going to go straight to the Titan MRI phone line, and we're joined by the Gator great, Dan Cross. Dan, how you doing, my man?
Doing well this morning, Shane, and yourself?
Doing great. Yeah, this is Dan Cross, UF Hall of Famer, played on the 94 Final Four team.
Yep.
Dan, before we get into what you're doing now, talk about the past. What do you think about the Gator basketball team up to this point? The job Mike White has done, and man, what a tough loss last night at LSU.
Yeah, very tough loss. Especially on the road, playing against a very hostile crowd and talented team in LSU. Personally, I believe it's a game that I think we should have won. Just hate that it has to come down to the last few minutes for guys to find a way to start playing hard to win games. So if that can be done from jump, then I think it gives some very talented and young kids a very good chance to make some noise towards the end of the year.
Yeah, you talk about that making some noise, Dan. Did you see this team as a team that has that potential to maybe make a deep run, or is there too much youth right now, or will it develop into something that you think will be pretty special by the end of this year?
That's a good question. I think a lot of that is going to depend. It's not because of talent. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just a mentality that us as Gators we're used to seeing. Mm-hmm. So if that mentality can somehow transfer over to winning close games, first of all. Then secondly, if the backcourt ever decides to play together and become consistent, then it just gives you a chance to win down the stretch. And that kind of remains to be seen. They play well. We play well against, very good teams or top-ranked teams. And then teams that we probably should beat or find a way to win, that's where the struggle comes in. So if that can be figured out, then we definitely have the pieces.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Dan, when you look at this team, obviously, as JC said, a very young basketball team. You got three members of the team last year that are now sophomores, and you got this highly ranked freshman class. Obviously, Scotty Lewis has played pretty well, very, very athletic, a freshman 5-star. Omar Payne from down in the Orlando area is playing well. The one guy who grew up in Gainesville, played for the Villages, Trey Mann, highly touted guard. He's just struggling right now. With all the years that you played basketball and been coaching and following basketball, is it just one of those deals where he's just kind of in a freshman funk right now? And what do you think? He just needs to probably knock down some shots to get some confidence?
Yeah, a lot of his confidence. He's just another Trey. I know most of these guys very well. So he's just another guy that, he also needs a ball in his hand. He's not a catch and shoot type guy, and guys like that need, the ball in their hand a little bit more and need to find ways. Whether he's a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, there's just a certain way that he's used to playing. And so he just has to figure out how to play within the system that makes him most comfortable, and then, also messes with the team. So I don't, the years of being a freshman, a sophomore, being young, those days have been proven by, the Patinos of the world and the Caliperis of the world and the Krzyzewskis of the world, that you can win with freshmen. That's not an excuse in my book. So,
well, I would think the personality of this team, Dan, is going to develop as we keep going, and as they get, through the season, you can't really say they're all that young anymore because they'll have the experience of the season. And one player that I'm really happy to see play well is Nemhard. 10 assists last night. And even though he scored 15 points, I was more pleased with all those dishes he had.
Yeah, but it's being consistent.
Yeah.
You can't do that one game and not do that. In the SEC, as we all know, I don't care what sport, when you become consistent and can play night in and night out and have 10 assists along with 15, then name recognition and everything else kind of comes along with winning. But until that's done, then my preparation, for guys like Nemhard, if I'm another coach, is you don't. He's a good player, but you don't know what you're going to get night in and night out. So that just needs to be proven if we choose to make a run towards the end in the SEC.
Dan, when you look at this basketball team, obviously Kerry Blackshear was the big transfer of the year, and the Gators got him. What are your thoughts about that? Because back in the days when we played, a lot of guys weren't transferring, and now in basketball especially, it seems like, I watch a lot of college basketball from each year, and teams are just full of transfers. Do you like that? And is it hard? He's played what? I don't know, but 20 games with us now, something like that. Is it still hard to kind of get in the flow with your new teammates?
Yes. And just because KJ has he has a little bit of a different mentality. He's a team guy, first of all. And so when you're trying to mesh into a new system, it takes some time. Pertaining to the transfers, I'm not a big fan of it, but I get it. Unfortunately, we have a new generation, as you know well, Shade, a new generation of kids that if one place doesn't fit, they're going to find the next place to go to. It's just, with the dynamics of how college sports is, coaches leave just as quick as players leave. So, if that's the case, then everybody's trying to find the right fit and the right opportunity to give them the best chance for the next level or the best chance to play and see where opportunity leads them. So, it's a catch-22 but for a kid like Blackshear, he has all the potential in the world to dominate a game each and every night, which he's done. I'd like to see him kind of take over and be, more of a vocal leader to go along with the talents that he has, just because the kids are so young. But, it takes a lot of pressure off of the younger guys as well. So he's a great fit. We're
speaking with Dan Cross on the Titan MRI phone line, UF Hall of Famer, point guard for the Final Four team in 1994. We got a text here from Sherry in Tampa. Says, Dan, what is the one moment of your Gator career that stands out the most? That's probably hard to pick one.
It really is, and that is a very tough question. But I guess I will say the opportunity when we were in the Final Eight down in Miami, where there was really nothing but Gator fans in Miami, that allowed us to beat
Indiana. Was it Indiana?
No,
who was
Boston
it?
College.
Oh, it was Boston. Indiana was the Sweet 16 game, wasn't it?
No, it was UConn that was the Sweet 16 game.
See, you're killing us.
Indiana.
Don't worry about it. We're fine, buddy. We're teammates now. So
well, Dan, I was there. I covered.
He wants to tell you that he interviewed you in the Charlotte Coliseum.
I worked for TV 20 in those years, Dan. I mean, I was all over Log Crooked. I can't remember that, but I swore Bobby Knight was somewhere. I guess I just don't remember Miami as well as I do Uniondale, New York. You, of course, remember that trip, the first one before we went down to South Florida. But I apologize for that. I just know that 94 year was so special at QB. I'm sorry. I just got to bring it up. I've got Dan Cross, okay? I had Dimitri Hill. I had Leclerc. The wonderful defensive genius in Craig Brown. I mean, these guys were so special, and I just loved every one of them because they were such no-names going in, and then look what they did and what they accomplished. And I think it speaks to your point, Dan, about playing together and getting that mentality to get you where you think you should be able to go. And that team, not one person in the state of Florida, and I can say this for a fact because I was the only credentialed reporter in the state of Florida that went to New York, not many people thought you were getting past James Madison.
Agreed.
And you did it. And you guys did it. And you should have beat Duke, and if that damn Grant Hill wasn't so good that night, you would have.
I agree.
There you
I
go.
agree.
Yeah.
So Dan, switching gears a little bit, let the Gator Nation know and everybody here watching Matthews in the morning what Dan Cross is up to. I know you're doing some camps. What all you got going on?
Yeah, so I'm still involved within the community with summer camps called All Fundamentals that I run in June and July. I've been doing that for about 15 years now. They're just based fundamental camps that we host just to teach kids the fundamentals of basketball. I also just launched high school showcases, bringing in the top high school teams into Gainesville around the Christmas holidays, just to provide exposure to a lot of the top high school teams in the state of Florida. I most recently launched also a software and technology company where we develop online curriculums for life skill education to provide to educational institutions, and sit on the University Hall of Fame board to help select, future greats coming into the university that have done outstanding jobs, for University of Florida. So and I have a son and daughter that's at University of Florida.
Oh, wonderful. There you go.
So just very blessed to, just be busy, stay busy, and provide impact and service to things that I believe in.
We have another text here from Patrick in Jacksonville. It says, Dan, can you elaborate to where some of your 94 teammates are and what your coaches are up to today? We obviously know where Lon Kruger is.
Yeah.
He's the head coach at Oklahoma. But where are some of your teammates from that 94 team?
Yeah, so Craig Brown currently lives in China.
Wow.
He's the director of development for all of the Asian continent for the NBA. Dimitri Hill is back home, living in the St. Pete area. Brian Thompson is back up home in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Andrew DeClerc is not too far from me down here in the Central Florida area, in the Claremont area. John Griffith is in the Atlanta area, back where he's from. Clayton Bates is coaching now. Danny Williams is big director with Under Armour.
Yep.
Svein Durkeboten is a big developer in Gainesville.
Indeed.
So shout out to Celebration Point and what he's done with that community. I think
that sounds about everybody.
Jason Anderson, number 5.
Yeah.
He is currently living in Bucharest, Romania.
Wow.
He's one of the top yoga instructors. Believe it or not, man. So
that's crazy. Who was Monty Tao the assistant? Who was our Lon's assistants there? Who was your assistant coach?
Before I answer that question, I forgot Greg Williams. Greg Williams.
Oh, Greg. Okay.
Yeah, so he's back in the DC area. So Robert McCullum was the assistant coach that recruited me out of Illinois, and he is now the head coach at Florida A&M University up in Tallahassee.
Wow.
The guy that a lot of people do not talk about, R.C. Buford, who is now the GM for San Antonio, or has been the GM for San Antonio, with all of those great runs with Tim Duncan and those guys. He was a very integral part of us actually getting to the Final Four, so I must give him all due respect to that. And Coach Ron Stewart is a NBA scout for the Milwaukee Bucks.
There you go. A lot of guys still doing basketball. That's awesome. Well,
hey, Dan, real quick, a lot of people don't realize, and you have a son, as you mentioned, here at the University of Florida.
Yes.
He's not on the basketball team,
no.
But he's on the football team.
Oh.
Yes.
Tell us about young Daniel.
Yeah, so I'm a very proud father and of a son who decided not to follow in his father's footsteps. And has chosen a sport that he is a late bloomer in. He is a preferred walk-on at the University of Florida for the football team, and is working extremely hard to understand the system. He's in a great position to be taught by the best under Coach Dan Mullen. The environment and the atmosphere, as you know very well, Shane, has allowed a lot of young men just to become and learn expertise in a discipline, and just to learn how to be great and how to work hard to become the best that you can be. And that's what Dan has instilled, and the coaching staff has instilled in my son Daniel. He's a wide receiver. Not for sure where life is going to take him or where opportunity is going to take him, but what I've done as a father is just try to put him in the best position to go after what he wants, and he's at a great school.
No doubt about it. Dan, before we let you go, if anyone wants to check out your basketball camps or anything else you're doing, where can they check you out?
Yeah, so our basketball camps are called All Fundamentals at allfundamentals.com. Again, allfundamentals.com. Our online learning management system is called Cross Academy LMS, which stands for learningmanagementsystem.com. So those are our two big sites that, you can receive a lot of information from, just to help support, within the community. And if you're in the educational system, would love your support with Cross Academy LMS, what we're doing to provide life skill curriculums into middle school and high school institutions.
Good stuff, my man. We appreciate you joining the show. That's Dan Cross, one of the greatest basketball players in Florida basketball history. Take care, my man. We'll be in touch.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity.
We're going to take a quick timeout. We're going to come back here from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be joined by Brent Beard talking college football. We'll be right back.
All right.
Timeout! Timeout! Hey! Timeout! 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 There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care.
Bob in trouble, gets rid of it. Oh, big hit.
Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Gator's Dockside, Doreen Weeby Realtor, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okido America Martial Arts and After School, and Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Weeby at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us. Welcome back. Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. John Cornell, Shane Matthews. Yep. We're going to go straight to the Titan MRI phone line, and we're joined by our good buddy Brent Beard out of Jacksonville, co-host of College Football Today, also the college football analyst for First Coast News over in Jax. Brent, welcome to the program. How are you, my man?
Guys, doing well. Great to be with you. And listen, I know the games are over, but look, between recruiting and the transfer portal and coaches going different places, as that still is going on, Todd Graham now ended up at Hawaii. That happened overnight. Some folks may have missed, obviously, from Arizona State a little bit ago. But the point is, it's amazing how all this extends the season, right?
Well, it really is. And a guy closer to home here that made his decision this weekend would be Felipe Franks, off to Arkansas. Give us a little insight on what you know about that move and why he chose there.
It was obviously Sam Pittman comes over from Georgia. That's going to be very interesting to see how he does as a head coach. They love him there. He's got a lot of contacts at Arkansas. It certainly keeps Franks in the SEC. My only question, guys, is, are they going to be able to protect him? That is my biggest concern for him. Now, Nick Starkel was there, who was at Texas A&M for a while, and he now has ended up at San Jose State. So, frankly, I think what Felipe saw, too, was there was not a whole lot of competition here. Frankly, now they've got a senior in Jack Lindsay. redshirt sophomore, and John Stephen, KJ Jefferson. So I think he saw that he could come in, play immediately. Now, look, they will eventually be better. At some point, they've still run along the losing streak in the SEC, but I think it was a situation where Frank saw that he could step right in and just start immediately, and that's pretty much what we're looking at.
Brent, when you look at the before we get into team by team and those type things, a lot of players have come out after their season was over, after bowl games, and declared to go to the NFL draft. There were a ton of kids last year that declared early that didn't get drafted. So has the number increased or decreased when on these not early enrollees, but the early people into the draft? And then secondly, is Florida right now, is C.J. Henderson the only underclassman that is entered the draft?
Yeah, from what we understand, that is it. So that's and that's a real plus for them. 49 guys, and that's amazing. Last year went undrafted after they declared early. This year there were 111 that have been confirmed who have made those decisions, and there may be a little bit more in this that comes out over the next day or so. Last year it was 103. So, you've got more guys who are going out. And, Shane, I know you understand this better than most. The problem with these guys is that a lot of these guys don't get good advice. They ignore what their coaches told them, and instead of playing another year and going from like the fifth round, if they play another year, they could come back and be second or third rounders. I'm just being facetious here, but you get what I mean. So the reality is, I understand some of these guys coming out if they're going to be first or second rounders, but if you can go back and improve yourself, such as what some of these guys have done, I think that's a real plus for them. And what's interesting is you've got all of the running backs. Najee Harris at Alabama decided to come back another year. I think that's going to certainly benefit him, guys, at this point. And Travis Etienne from Clemson did the same thing, and he wasn't anything real magical. Yeah. He enjoys school. It's a deep running back draft, so he decided that's what he wanted to do, and obviously Dabo Swinney welcomed him back with open arms.
No doubt about it.
Well, and good for Clemson. I think also good for Alabama getting Harris and that linebacker Moses who wasn't didn't think that the NFL he was ready for that, having sat out an entire year. Can you tell us a little bit about over in the West with LSU and Alabama losing some players and then Alabama getting some others coming back, what we can expect maybe as well as with those two new coaches over there in Mississippi out of the West?
The Moses situation was, I think, paramount for their defense, because the problem they had last year was a defensive problem. From guys going early to the NFL to guys getting hurt like Moses did, he made a wise decision in coming back. That's going to help them tremendously. And the other guy who's coming back is going to help them a lot is Josh Mcmillan, who was granted a 6th year. And Mcmillan is a mechanical engineer. He's already got his degree in that. He's going to get his master's this year. So obviously he's a pretty smart guy. So his coming back is the linebacker position is going to help them. And Alabama, if you remember the name of Freddie Roach, who played at Alabama, he's going around a little bit. The Giants wanted him. Ole Miss, he was there, so Alabama has brought him back as defensive line coach. That is one thing that they are going to make some changes on their defensive staff, and that's one of them. They haven't announced it yet. They will coming up. The LSU situation, they lost 9 guys to early entry. And I don't think there's any doubt, guys. When you lose 9 guys, the Joe Burrows, Edwards, Clyde Hilaire, Justin Jefferson. You lose guys like that, and then you lose Dave Aranda to Baylor. And by the way, Bo Pelini's name's been mentioned to coming back, leaving Youngstown State and going back to LSU as the coordinator, which is pretty interesting. Not saying that's a done deal, not saying that's going to happen, but that's kind of what we're hearing and seeing a little bit about that. And then Joe Brady going to Carolina. Look, the one thing Ed Orgeron's learning right now, guys, is you can get to the mountaintop, but man, it's hard to stay there, is it not?
Yes, and that was one of the things I thought that was the genius of Nick Saban, is that he has to recover from losses every single year, and the consistency they have there, I think, is overlooked by some folks who may not be as well endowed to follow college football as you and us. But I agree with you 100%. LSU's going to figure out what it's like to have to rebuild that.
Brent, when you look at the Auburn Tigers, I've never understood how a guy who got a head coaching job because of the play caller that he was, turning that over to someone else. Well, the rumor is that Chad Morris, the new offensive coordinator at Auburn, is now going to be calling plays for Gus Malzahn. Is that the facts, and what do you think about that?
Well, the reality of it is, Shane, Gus can say that, but we need to see it to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Gus is one of these coaches that his play calling is so ingrained within him that he will take it back from the offensive coordinators. If you're an offensive coordinator at Auburn, that's a title in theory only until you see it actually happen. Now, Chad Morris, who was at Arkansas and SMU, frankly, is a pretty good football coach, and he's a good play caller if Gus allows that to happen. Now, that they're also having to they've replaced their offensive line coach in J.B. Grimes with Jack Bicknell Jr., who was a former offensive line coach at Ole Miss. Now, the thing with Gus, though, guys, there's a couple of things here. For whatever reason, with Gus's reputation, and Auburn beat writers will tell you this, Gus struggles in developing quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And now I do think that they'll do a good job with Bo Nix, who will be a sophomore this coming season. Nix is a tremendous player. He had his freshman moments this year, but they all do. So I think it's going to be important that they're able to start developing guys. And the truth of the matter, the other thing, the offensive line has struggled because they recruited poorly on the offensive line, and Auburn beat writers will also tell you the same thing. So the interesting thing here is Gus continues to keep his job, and they have averaged basically 4 to 5 losses every year over the last 5 or 6 years. He keeps his job because of his ability to beat Nick Saban every few years, and that has kept him in there because, guys, let's be honest, in this league, if you're averaging 4 or 5 losses and you're supposed to be one of the upper echelon teams in the league, you're not going to be high, you're not going to be in that job very long, are you?
We talked about that yesterday.
Yeah. Brent, when you look here at what's going on in Gainesville, obviously Kadarius Toney is coming back for his senior year. Also, talk a little bit about that, who's returning. But my biggest question is, we finally got a 5-star. I don't understand how the rankings work, but the biggest the transfer, the running back, Lorenzo Lingard, is he eligible to play next year?
I believe he is, yes. As a matter of fact, he's already enrolled. I remember last week when we talked about the list of enrollees, I'm pretty sure, and I'll double-check that he's already on there. Now, Kadarius Toney coming back, Trevon Grimes coming back, Marco Wilson, I think it's huge for them in being able to keep these guys in the fold. The guy they really want to get right now is this Justin Shorter from Penn State. He is in the transfer portal, and that they are hoping that they're able to bring him in. The kid that Shane mentioned is Gervin Dexter, who is a signee that has been given a 5-star from 24/7. Now, what they do is the recruiting services will reevaluate some of these guys and they will, if they've had a good year or they've done well in certain areas, they will improve that original ranking a little bit. Fortunately, they're paid and got time to do that, and we don't. But anyway, that's kind of what's happened with that. Now, Lorenzo Lingard, he's a really good player. He's from Miami, and he also is a five-star kid. The other five-star kid they've got that people may forget is Brenton Cox, the outside linebacker from Georgia. Now, for whatever reason, he and Georgia just didn't fit. We don't understand all that happened there, and I'm not saying there was anything wrong. It just didn't happen. So they're hoping that he's going to make a big difference with them too. So and again, they've got other kids coming in and out because the other National Signing Day is coming up a week from today. That's hard to believe, but we're already going to be in February at that point. So I think what they're doing recruiting, and they put it on the field. They're now reaping the rewards, guys, in recruiting, and I think we're going to see it over the next few months with Florida.
Up in Athens, they lose their quarterback but in 2021 they're going to be bringing in this kid Vandergriff. Now, I know that's 2021, so I don't know how excited or how important that is today, but can you kind of share a little bit with us about Brock Vandergriff, who is highly touted, five-star, number one thought of pocket-type quarterback, going to Georgia, and whether or not that's really something that's relevant right now because of how long it is until 2021.
Well, but at the same time, as you guys know, coaches are always looking ahead with the quarterback room. Now, with Jake Fromm leaving, the thing they had to look at is several things have happened at Georgia along that line, too. Jamie Newman, through the transfer portal, has come over from Wake Forest. Now, Newman's a big kid. He's about 6'3" or 6'4", and about 240. Now, at Wake Forest, he did a pretty good job. They were 8-5 in 2019, and he had some pretty good numbers. Now, he did struggle somewhat with some of the upper echelon teams in the ACC, and unfortunately, there aren't many. So that was is a little bit of a concern. They've also lost some guys on the offensive line, like Cade Mays transferring to Tennessee. But I think what you've got, guys, is they're just looking at the immediate, and they're looking at the future. The immediate was bringing Todd Monken in as the new offensive coordinator. They've reassigned James Coley. I thought that was a good move. Shane, you may even know Todd, for that matter. I'm not sure if you do or not, but I know he's been around for a bit. But this Vandergriff pickup was, as you guys said, it was for the future, maybe looking to be able to do something in 2021, because when you bring these guys over from the transfer portal, they're going to help you immediately, but you don't have them with you very long. So they're looking at Vandergriff, who originally committed to Oklahoma, to helping them on for 3 or 4 years. So what they're basically doing, and Shane, they probably did the same thing to when you were there. Maybe it's just different terminology now. They're basically stocking the quarterback room is what they're doing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, Brent, great stuff, my man. We got a lot of text and Facebook Live stuff thanking you for joining our program with all your great knowledge of college football. We're going to have you on next week, hopefully, buddy. But we appreciate it. Yeah. You can check him out on Twitter at Brent Beard. Brent, thanks for joining us, my man.
My pleasure, guys. Awesome. Have a great day.
Great to have you,
all right,
Brent.
we're going to take our final time out here on Pod Up with Matthews in the morning. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care.
I've been trouble, gets rid of the ball. Big hit.
Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Gator's Dockside, Doreen Weeby Realtor, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okido America Martial Arts and After School, and Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Weeby at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security Systems Studios.
I want to point out that Brent Beard, at Brent Beard, it's BEAIRD. So if you want to follow him on Twitter,
he knows his stuff.
BEAIRD. Thank you to him for coming on.
Yeah, show's flown
And he'll
by
be back
today.
next week, too, because we've got the big recruiting day on Wednesday, QB. One of the things I was going to talk to him about and ask him, maybe I'll do it next week or whatever, was the final bowl records and how the SEC won 80% of its games and the
But
Big Ten
we always do that.
won, not always, but the Big Ten, because how many times do we have to hear the media and people around the country say how down the SEC is? It's because of the standard that has been set by the SEC that they say things like that when they don't go 80%. But the Big Ten, the great Big Ten, with all their great teams that Joe Klatt can't quit talking about, was 44% in the bowls. They went 4-5. Okay, they had a losing record. Do you hear a national outcry about how down the Big Ten is? No. And why is that? Because of the standards that they have yet to set in that conference. And that's the point that I wanted to make and hear what Brent had to say. And I'm going to do that next week when he comes
make a
on
note.
and talks about all your recruits.
Yeah, we're going to have a great
do you think of
recruiting
that?
class. Yeah, so don't forget tomorrow on Thursday's show, we're going to have Austin Gale from Pro Football Focus talking about the Super Bowl, NFL free agency. If you have any questions that you are tweets or whatever, text, whatever, let us know. We'll ask Austin your favorite NFL team. These guys, they sit in, this is Chris Collinsworth's company, Pro Football Focus.
Yeah.
They sit in these rooms and they analyze and grade every play of every player in the NFL.
Dang. That's very
They
time
can tell
consuming.
you exactly how many drops so-and-so had,
Yeah. Well,
how many bad throws
That's how you
so-and-so.
spend the day, I guess.
Yeah, well, they do a tremendous job.
So
at
we're
Pro
going to have
Football
him
Focus.
next week? Or?
Yeah, we have him every week.
Oh, we did.
You weren't here. You were on
I was gone.
vacation.
Oh, vacation.
Yes.
I was on. It was a business trip, QB.
Well, we got any SEC basketball games
Well,
tonight?
tonight we do, since you asked, and that team we mentioned earlier in the show that you seem to think will make it to the NCAA tournament is Alabama, and they were playing at Vanderbilt. And to me, this is very telling as an Alabama graduate who has been unimpressed by its basketball program since the glorious days of one Wimp Sanderson. They need to show me on the road that they can do it. And they're a 9-point favorite tonight against Vanderbilt, so I fully expect to win. A good game tonight in Starkville. They'll have the typical 6,500 fans there at the hump, but they play Arkansas tonight, and Arkansas is actually a 4-point underdog as Arkansas
Mississippi State will
comes
win that
in
game.
at 14-3, and Mississippi State is 11-6. And then Auburn coming off a bad week last week with 2 losses to both Alabama and Florida, will try to get it turned around against South Carolina at home in Auburn. They're an 11-point favorite against a team that's starting to play a little better, South Carolina.
Yeah, so a lot of college basketball tonight.
Those are the 3 SEC
I'm
games.
on record right here at JC because, like I told you,
I like
following
it.
Twitter
I like
last
it.
night,
I like
people
it. You're on
complaining
Twitter.
about the Gators.
Twitter.
Florida will beat Baylor on Saturday.
Well, we'll have a chance to talk about that on Thursday and Friday and tomorrow as well, but Baylor comes in running high, and it's going to be fun to watch that game. It's a night game, so I fully think, and I know for a fact, there will be over 10,000 fans in that building, raising the roof and bringing down the rafters, hopefully, as Baylor, who's come here before, and Florida ran them out of the barn, 2 years ago? And so they'll be back, but this year they'll be back as the top-ranked team in the country with very impressive road wins on their resume. So we'll see how they do right there. Well, it's over there. Put it up there, Taylor.
Well, that's going to be a wrap for today's program.
Well, there it was
from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
There we are. Okay, there it is.
We'll be back. You coming back tomorrow, JC?
Well, where else
what are you going to wear tomorrow? You got your Dartmouth visor on.
This is Dartmouth. This is not
Dallas
Stars.
Stars.
Dallas Stars. They're getting ready for the All-Star game in the
What are you going to wear tomorrow?
Should we have an NHL segment, you think, one day?
I told you in the playoffs, we'll let you have the floor.
It's a surprise. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow.
We appreciate you joining the program. See you tomorrow.